All right, so I want to look at a list of tax overages and talk to you about a marketing plan for this. Now, previously, if you don't know my story, I was a full-time math teacher. I taught at a high school. The last school I taught at was in Anaheim, California, and I started working overages and unclaimed property. And the hardest thing I had to do was market these overages. And I'm going to talk to you about a couple strategies in marketing. But I really had to like sit down and ask myself, why am I struggling? Like, why can't I call people and say, hey, John Smith, you have funds from 123 Main Street? Like, I had to really take a couple deep breaths. And I guess it was because I was afraid that people wouldn't take me seriously. Now, I've claimed over 65 million in unclaimed funds between my students and myself. Actually, it's more like 67 million to date. And how have we done this? Well, number one is we market, and number two is we go to script. But let's break this down and let's dissect this. Now, my office is, this is very much a mom and pop, what I'm doing right now. I'm not having this video master edited, and my office has all windows around it. I love my office, but I really don't have a whiteboard. I'm going to probably put one in here because I want to teach more, maybe a TV monitor. So I'm just going to do this whiteboard. And by the way, I have extremely sloppy writing. So just let's go ahead and look at this. But number one, I think we've established this, is you want to go ahead and you want to look at your market. So I've shown you a brief glimpse of a small tax overage list. These are available at the county. There's billions and billions of dollars of unclaimed funds at the county. So the first one I'm going to put here is your market. Okay. Now let's define this a little bit more. Like, what market are you going to work? So maybe you pick a county in California. Maybe you pick one in Florida. You find your county. You go to the county. You get your list. You have your list. Then number two is you're going to decide what leads you're going to work. And what I mean by this is I work high. So I used to close 3 to 4 deals a week. And by the way, I work the business about 5 days a week, and I work it about anywhere from 1 to 2 hours a day on my cold calling business. And I do this very actively to this day. So you want to decide the leads that you're going to work. Now, with my leads, I get less closes than I did like 2 years ago. And people say, well, isn't that bad? Well, I make more money than I did 2 years ago. I go after higher end leads. I go after leads that are going to give me north of $10,000, sometimes even $20,000 or $30,000 payouts. And those are out there. Now, I don't want you to watch this video and say, okay, well, I'm going to go after those leads. When I first started, my payouts were averaging about $800, and I've gotten smaller and I've gotten obviously higher than that. What you want to do is, I would start off small. Like, you see a tax overage for $1,500, I very much would do that as I did that for my first lead. So you see a tax overage for $1,500. That was one of my first leads I did. I called the lady. I had no idea what I was doing. I got her paid, and I thought, wow, I could go ahead and do this. And I continued doing it, and I got half of that check. Now, my typical commission is anywhere from 20 to 30%, sometimes lower, sometimes higher. It just depends. But you want to decide the leads you're going to work. I would work leads, if you're brand new at this, I'd work leads or maybe 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. Get your feet wet and then give yourself a raise. And then what I do in my leads is I have a marketing plan. By the way, know your local laws. I do not violate the DNC or any of that, but I know the laws in my area. So what I do with this is I work 5 new leads a day. So what I do is I work 5 new leads a day, 5 days a week. That's 25 new leads a week. That's 100 leads a month that I'm working that are brand new. Now, on my structure that I do now, on the first time call, I probably close anywhere from 1 to 3 of those. So out of 1 month, on the very first call, I will close 1 to 3 deals. It's right here in the follow-up, and excuse me, I know this is super sloppy writing. Again, I'm going to get a whiteboard in here where I could do more of this. I don't do a lot of this type of instruction and teaching. So what does the follow-up look like? Well, I find that somewhere between attempts 4 to 12, if I'm going to get the deal, it's in the follow-up. Now, I just want to say one other thing. In the caliber of leads that I work, I have a very high rejection rate, meaning people don't call me back or people say no to me. Now, and by the way, a no oftentimes is a yes at a later date. I put that in my CRM, and then I follow back up with them. And what I'll do is, like, let's say I'm filming this at the very end of December of 2025. So let's say it's December 29th of 2025. And I call someone and he or she says, David, I've got this handled. I don't need it. I don't need your business. Then what I'll do is I will go ahead and I'll put them in my CRM, and maybe I'll put them for February 2nd. And then I'll call them. I'll say, hey, we spoke back in December. I noticed you said you had this handled. It's still just sitting here. what can we do to move forward? And if they say no again, I put them out another 6 weeks. Even if they get nasty with me, I put them out another 6 weeks because I know I've made contact with them. And even if they say don't call me, I do, and I've gotten deals that way. So you've got to go with your gut and what you're comfortable doing. But it's my two biggest KPIs are in the follow-up and the callbacks. I'll get most of my business is people calling me back, and that's a warm lead. So if I call 5 new leads a day, 5 days a week, and I leave a detailed message. This is David Church. I'm calling for John Smith about 123 Main Street. John, I'm calling you about the overage from this property as it sold for over the asking price. I came across this file. Call me back. Here's my number. Again, here's my number. I'm first of all just making John Smith aware that he has unclaimed funds. I'm not calling. I'm not selling myself. Again, you've got to have your script and you've got to be comfortable with it. Not only follow up, I would say a second big strike that I see people do in this business is consistency. So a lot of people will try this for the first time and they'll try 2 or 3 calls and no one picks up the phone. They say, wow, this business doesn't work. Well, you've got to be consistent on it. Like I said, I call 5 leads a day, 5 days a week, and I spend an hour a day doing this. And you can easily hit 6 figures by doing that, but you have to be able to be willing to do the work. Now, the other thing about your market is you have to know your commissions. And what I mean by that is when I go through my leads, I weed them out and I look at the higher end leads. So I might come across a county that has 100 leads, and if none of them are over 10,000, I'm probably going to pass that county and go to another county and work it. I've made a lot of money, and this is a gold nugget right here. I've made a lot of money by calling old leads that haven't claimed their funds. And you've got to know the laws because a lot of these get turned over, like in Texas after 2 years. If it's a tax overage, it goes to the government, and Texas makes it very hard for locators to work. I know people who do it successfully. I stay out of Texas because there's a lot of other friendly markets that I've done very well in. Now, people will say, is the market saturated? That's a whole nother thing that I hear. Is the market saturated? Well, I have plenty of students that are doing over $100,000 a year right now. And when I first started this back in 2014, there was estimated 80 to 100 billion, depending on the type of funds you look at. Right now, there's an estimated 80 to 100 billion dollars of unclaimed funds out there in the United States. So it's a market that you could very well tap into. But again, what you need to do is let's just give a recap here as we wrap this up. Number one is you're going to find your market. You go to a county, you pull a list, and you might have to make a few phone calls. You might have to AI search it, but you find your list at the local county. Number two is you decide the leads that you're going to work. And what you do is you find out how to go in the county, how to scrape them, how to get the data, and you look at these leads. And then you're gonna decide your method of contact. I reach out to 5 new leads a day, and then I follow up. By the way, and I didn't say this earlier, on your follow-up, have a plan. So you try Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning, and nobody picks up the phone. Maybe you try Wednesday at 3 p.m., those same 5 leads, and nobody picks up. Maybe you try them Saturday morning, and you have 2 people that pick up. Hey, John, my name is David Church. I've been trying to reach you. Again, you want to be very business-oriented. You want to stick to the data and to the point. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas. All that will come in future conversations. Your job is to inform them that they have unclaimed money at a certain location, and then if it transfers into it, let them know the services you can, if you choose to go with me. Also, and this is kind of outside of this area, this is another gold nugget, have a system where your client's gonna be easy to work with. I always say, when you look at lettuce in the store, why do people, when you go to you buy chopped lettuce, why do people pay 5 times more for it at a much less amount? Because it's convenient. So if someone says, David, what do I need to do to go forward? You need to understand those contracts that you need. You need to understand the language that you're going to use. So, okay, great. There's 3 agreements that I have with you. The first one's an assignment of interest. This will allow R&M Recovery to collect the funds on your behalf. The second one's a contingency agreement. This is the percentage between you and R&M Recovery. By the way, we charge nothing. I said this already. We charge nothing. We get paid on the back end. When you get paid, we'll get a percentage. If we don't get you paid, we get paid nothing at all. You've got to make that very clear to your client. And the third one's a limited power of attorney. And limited power of attorney will basically allow you to pull certain files, sign documents. And I've used it a few times where you might need it. You might even get the check in your client's name where you have to cash it or cash into your attorney's escrow account. And it's very good to have. Plus any other additional documentation, usually their ID and some other information. You need to have that checklist. I would email them the checklist. I would make it as convenient as possible because that's what people like. That's why people pay 5 times more for chopped lettuce. It's because of convenience. So you have a plan here. with your marketing. Now, follow up. You can also start texting. Again, know your local laws, and you can also start emailing people within this plan. My least amount of deals come with emailing. My lowest KPI is with emailing, but I still do get occasionally. I'll get them. So if I'm reaching out to 100 people a month and I'm emailing 100 people a month, I'm trying to think of my emails. I mean, they're so far and few now. I know other people who email market just fine, and they do that okay. And then again, your commissions that you want to make. So like, I want to make a minimum of $10,000 per deal. So if I'm looking at a $40,000 overage and I got 30% of that, that'd be $12,000. That'd be something I'd be willing to do. Now, if I call my client and he says, "Hey, David, I'm willing to move forward, but I'm going to tell you 30% is just too high. I'm not going to go that route." I'll say, "Okay, I'm going to be just the way I notified you. I'm going to be working in the courts. I'm going to be kicking them in the butt. I'm going to be getting you paid. What do you think is fair?" I've had people say 2 or 3%, adios. If they said 10%, is 4,000 better than nothing? Yes. I would try to get them to maybe 20%, 15 at the worst, but 20%. And then don't start splitting hairs. If you want 10% and they start saying 8%, do 8%. Say goodbye to the $800 and just do it for 3,200. I mean, I would do that, and especially if you're brand new, do some lower percentages in the beginning, and then work your way up from there. Do not beg your client for deals, because they're going to take advantage of you and they're going to basically crap all over you. What you want to do is you want to come across business oriented, and if they're walking all over you, every Tuesday I do a live cold call, and I'm wrapping this up here, everyone, but every Tuesday I do a live cold call within the community. And a few weeks ago, and I've talked about this actually a couple months ago now, I had a woman who was just being really nasty with me on the phone. She's like, "Well," she basically told me to shut up without telling me to shut up. She said, "Well, you just need to be quiet, let me do this." And then she asked me a question, I didn't say anything. And she asked me another question, I didn't say anything. She goes, "Hello?" And I go, "Yeah, you told me to shut up, so I've shut up." She goes, "Well, I want this information." I go, "Why should I give it to you?" I go, "You're basically, you're being a snot. I really don't want to work with people like you." She's actually was asking me for my business by the time we hung up that phone call. You don't want to get it where you're having your clients pay you, but you don't want them, you want to have those parameters. You don't want to be calling them up and asking them. Basically, this David Church, trying to reach Sean Smith. "John, I'm calling you about 123 Main Street. I'm calling you about the overage from that property. Not sure if you're aware of this." John and I talk. He agrees to work with me. Then it's my game plan, and then there's the agreements. We have an agreed percentage, and I'll say something like, "By the way, we charge nothing up front. You pay absolutely nothing. This is contingent upon you getting paid. We'll get a percentage, and here's our percentage." And if I'm working a $100,000 deal, I'll come in lower than 30%, or I might start off at 30 and work my way down. I'm kind of filling the conversation, filling them out, seeing how much work's needed. If it's a deal where it's a probate and there's 40,000 and there's 10 kids and no will, I do the next deal, because it's just going to be too much paperwork and more than what I want to do. I know people who work those, who get paid, and they do just fine. Again, it's deciding what type of deals you want to work. So what is a good way to get started? Just get your list from the county, start looking at it, start making contact with your clients, learn your script, and follow up. I mean, most people don't do the follow-up. The follow-up and getting callbacks. I get callbacks all week long. That is a warm lead. In fact, I just had a woman call me back over the weekend. I've not even had a chance to call her back. It came up on my messages. It was boom. She called me back on my message phone. All right. One other quick note, and I have a community in SKOOL. It's called School. It's super awesome. It's Surplus Institute. I'm going to put a link in the chat, and I'm also going to put a link in the description. So if you want to join our school community, it is $47 a month. You get coaching calls with me. You get live cold calling. We give, for a limited time, we do have skip tracing available, and we have really good skip tracing services, and there's a lot you get. You cancel at any time. It's a great community to be involved in. Would love to see you in there. Thank you for watching. This video was longer than I wanted. Sorry for the sloppy writing, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this.